asking. Difference between Keynesian economics, which is what the world is doing right now, and Austrian economics, and what resources there might be that they could get a quick dive course into that. The best way to get a crash course on Keynesian economics versus Austrian economics would be a rap video. Like, I don't think there's any other way to do this. I mean, like, 7-minute rap video, and that's all you need to know. Is this rap video? This is done by George Mason University, and it is absolutely awesome. This would be John Maynard Keynes. That would be Friedrich A. Hayek. So basically, there was this depression in America, and you had John Maynard Keynes, and then you had F.A. Hayek, which would be this guy right here. And they both had their little book. They both had their book. The Austrians were actually war refugees from like Nazi Germany and obviously Austria, because Nazis took them over real quick. And so these guys fled to America after the war, during the war, before the war. And they all ended up congregating pretty much at the University of Chicago. So you might have heard of like Milton Friedman. He was there. Murray Rothbard, a bunch of these guys. F.A. Hayek, they're all there. They're all hanging out at the University of Chicago. Well, they have John Maynard Keynes. And John Maynard Keynes has the opposite theory pretty much of like, what do you do when you have like an economy that's not moving and you're losing time? You're like, transactions are not occurring and you're losing production that you can't get back, right? And so Keynes, John Maynard Keynes, his theory, his philosophy was widely adopted, particularly by the leaders of that time. And it basically said, in the long run, we're all dead, so let's get this party going. And the Austrians were like, whoa. Like, investment can only happen from real savings. Real savings have to happen first. And so right there, like, one wants to control interest rates with the Fed, and the other one's like, no. Let the market sort it out. That's the big difference between the two. The other big difference is the Austrians are always right. They have always been right. They've never not been right. It's just like, it's basic economics. Like, it's like real basic. It's like, you need to save money to invest. And then when, like, it just the market cycle. It's just like, the market cycle, like, is the market cycle. The Keynesians believe that you can just get rid of the market cycle. Like, they believe if proper government spending is done in the proper ways, that you can manipulate the economy to do what you want it to do, which is keep people fully employed and keep growth occurring. Well, the fact is that you can't centrally plan an economy. That's the point of an economy. It's decentralized by nature. So some books that, if you're into books, but I mean, I recommend the rap video. You can't beat the rap video. Road to Serfdom. Like, I've had this book for a while. It was written in 1956. This is why I'm telling you there's a depression coming. Like, it's all in here. It was written 70 years ago. And then Mises, like the theory of money and credit. These two are like some of the original gangsters of Austrian economics. And then you got Frederick Bastiat, the Law. This is actually written in the 1700s. He's not one of the Austrian economists, but he basically wrote like how government politicians will pervert the law to take advantage of economic crises. I don't think it's healthy to read the news every day. If you notice, Trump and Pelosi are like, we're going to do another $2 trillion infrastructure spending bill. So I'm like, construction guys, there it is. Get yours. Get yours 2020. But anyway, they're just going to take the deficits through the freaking roof because they're running Keynesian economics. They believe that there's a way to steer the economy. And if you look, there was a plague in 1918, the Spanish flu, came through and wreaked havoc through this country and the rest of the world. There was a crash in 1919 that was way bigger than 1929. Crash. And you know what the government did? Nothing. Because they didn't have the information or the data to even know what was going on. They did nothing. You know how long it took to correct? About a year. In 1929, though, they decided to do a lot because Hoover, Roosevelt, that whole crew there in the 30s, they were like, we can get in there with John Maynard Keynes' theory and we can start messing around. This is exactly where Keynes made his thing. Like, Keynes made his deal in the Depression. Well, we did what he suggested, did tons of government spending, and there was massive unemployment, and it was just a freaking wreck. So there was a big crash in 1919. You've never heard of it because the market sifted it out. It worked it out. People went bankrupt. People reallocated resources. Things got shuffled around. But in 1929, we were like, whoa, like we can start steering markets. And obviously there are bank runs and there's a whole lot of other issues at play. But when the government gets involved, you get bad situations. That's why what's happening right now. If they just let things go, and I know it sounds bad because no one wants their politicians to do nothing. But the best thing they can do is nothing. Let cities and states figure out what to do with it health-wise. As far as economics, do nothing. But that won't happen. So this rap video in the profile, you would love it.
I want to steer markets. I want them set free. There's a boom and bust cycle and good reason to fear it. Play low interest rates. It's the animal spirits. John Maynard Keynes wrote the book on modern macro, the man you need when the economy's off track. Depression.
So I got to study with some of these professors that put together this rap video, and it was 10 years ago in the middle of the recession, and they were trying to like make it applicable to like kids and like figure out like, or teach kids like, yo, like what you're being taught in school is jacked up. Like it's wrong. Like it's 100% like not good. It's great for the politicians, but it screws over absolutely everybody else. It's still a very like, it's like the Jedis. Like it's a very like small group, and then there's like the empire. And the empire is like all the Keynesians, Trump, Pelosi, all these guys. They have their differences in how to do things, but they're Keynesians. And then there are like a few other dudes like Peter Schiff and select others like myself that are like, no, we're Austrians. Robert Kiyosaki, Austrians. And they always win. It's just the amount of pain that Keynesian economics causes is unreal. And they think that they're helping to solve it, when the best thing you could do for people is to leave them alone. They'll figure it out. I know it sounds heartless, but it's how it works. So I share that stuff with you guys because I'm 31 now, so I'm beyond the point of like, we're going to save the world and everything. And I'm at the spot where it's like, get yours, get your jet, do you. Because the system's going to have to burn before it's going to get reset. So before there's any world saving and all that stuff, the system's going to have to burn. And it's either going to burn this year, it's going to burn next year, it's going to burn 5 years from now. It's going to burn. It's going to be bad, and then it's going to reset and restart. And that's a good thing. I'd like to get there sooner rather than later. But I share that with you because if you get educated on it, you can start to see these things. And when you see a $2 trillion infrastructure bill, you don't go, oh, this is great. You're like, oh, frickin' A, damn it. This is far. And then you can position yourself and your family to do really well on those type of events. Knowing what's coming. And what's coming is going to be the fall of the dollar. You cannot print the dollar indefinitely. And before we get to the fall of the dollar, you're going to see like housing rights advocates, like people who don't believe that housing is like, a privilege. They believe it's a fundamental right. Well, like, it's not a fundamental right. It's a privilege. But, those type of definitions, those type of philosophical debates are coming, and I can tell you, if you read the end of the book, like, they win. Like, eventually housing is a right, and then who pays for it, and who handles it, and if printing money always solves problems, why don't we just print money all the time? And so, it's kind of like putting babies in lead-painted cribs and letting kids ride around with no seatbelts in the 50s. Like, you just don't know that you don't know. Well, like, our politicians and government and, economic advisors, they just don't know that they don't know. And you don't, because, you're watching this crazy dude on Instagram and you're like, crap, this guy's saying he's calling the fall of the dollar. Yeah, I'm calling it. So when I'm on the jet, I can, play back these videos of a younger, thinner me and be like, yo, guys, I told you, like twin turbines didn't just happen. You know what I mean? Like, God, I saw it. Massive transfer of wealth. What did you think was going to happen? Position yourself well and start reading and watching and learning, like, what does it look like when a market doesn't function? What's it actually like when you go to a gas pump and there's no gas there? Like, what happens? And I know we're in the age of Instagram and you're like, no, it could never happen. Oh, it could definitely happen. And typically the way out of that is war. Most of the time it's war. Most of the time it's blame it on China or blame it on somebody else. I mean, personally, if I'm Russia right now, I'm on my way. The jet's en route. I'm taking out your electrical grid and I'm coming for you weak Americans real quick, like. And nobody's talking about that yet, but you got to think, you're a second world country. You're thinking, let's get them while they're down. So read, get educated, spend a little less time on Netflix, or watch the good stuff, the documentaries on Netflix, and look at it and be like, what's it actually like? Watch interviews with guys on YouTube of like what it's actually like to live in a war-torn country, and start figuring out how you could prosper in that situation, not be a victim, because victims are weak. I'm playing this video back on the jet. Victims are weak people. And I don't like weak people. And this planet that circulates around the sun doesn't like weak people. And when you become weak, the planet cures it by getting rid of you. That's how nature works. When I become weak, I'm going to get devoured by this freaking rock that spins around the sun. And I'm okay with that because that's how it works. Old line gets ripped up. And that's how it should work with every company and all of these airlines. But we don't want to do that. We want to nurse them to health. So we're going to have these zombie companies and these zombie people. And we're just going to print our way out of it until eventually we can't. So instead of allowing ourselves to have a little bit of pain in the short term and go through normal recessions and normal bankruptcies, we're going to go for a full-out system collapse. And I plan on absolutely dominating, because at this point in the game, I'm still a young lion. I'm on the rise, and I'm planning on absolutely dominating when that happens. And I can assure you, it is happening. Got Best Buy, so crap business to start with. Line of customers, because they only let a couple in the store. How long do you think Best Buy is going to last? I don't know. I don't see Best Buy being here in... I can't see them being here in August. They're going to need a bailout, too. Everybody going to need a bailout. Print it up, boys. Print it up. Amazon won't ship any books right now, which is ridiculous. But thank God. I support this bookstore. They're still here. They get a few last-minute items, like how to repack bullets and stuff. Incredibly interesting, like all of these current affair books, like just like how many of these have made like the shelf. Like it's absolutely like there's just so much like on Trump. Like how much more can you like just love this dude? And it's like you got to be like, you know, like you just got to be kidding me. Absolutely kidding me. Look at this setup. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh my gosh, the dollar is so getting crushed.